So we got New York versus Napoli versus Detroit. Three vastly different styles of pizza. Today's the day. I'm gonna attempt to make all three of them as authentically as I possibly can in my own backyard. Squirrel. Hello everyone, welcome to my home. Now, it has been a good long while since we made pizza around these parts. Years and years ago, I used to make a whole bunch of them on this channel. No matter how hard I tried, there was like a ceiling to what I could do in my own home. You know, ovens in your kitchen only get so hot. However, this beauty right here, the Gosney Dome XL, can push it to the limit. So I'd ask yourself, how hot do you need it to be? Quite hot. So having this new tool in my arsenal, I figured I'd just rage bait as many pizza lovers out there as I possibly could with one fell swoop. 3 different styles of pizza from 3 recipes from 3 pizza experts. All right, so for New York, we're going with a classic cheese from the Scar's Pizza Cookbook by Scar Pimentel. When I used to live in New York, I used to ask people what their favorite pizza was. So many people would say it was from Scar's Pizzeria, and there's lineups out the door. Unfortunately, I was not one of them. I had a lot of pizza while I was living there. I didn't have this, so I want to do a good job. The pizza from Napoli is coming from Napoli on the road. Michelle Pascarella, named the best pizza maker in the world 2023. So he has the street credit. I'm gonna go with a Neapolitan margarita. Lastly, for Detroit, we're going with the Loui Loui's Detroit style pizza book, a how-to guide by Michael Spurlock. Loui Loui's is apparently from Louisville, Kentucky. I had to buy the book and read it to find that out. Anyway, it doesn't change the fact that he seems to know a lot about this type of pizza. That's gonna be great too. And if anything goes south today, I need some help. I have the Pizza Bible close by. For emergency use only. So let's start off with New York. So we're gonna go back in time, 48 hours. Let me introduce you to a guy, Doughboy. He's kind of a jerk. What's up? I'm the dough guy. I hear this jackass needs 3 different styles of pizza doughs for his precious pizza video, right? And we're following along to Scar's recipe here. What separates his pizza dough from other New York pizzerias is that he mills his own flour. He says it's a crucial step to making his pizza the way it is. Duly noted. He also gives you the option of not doing that if you're making it at home. Now this is a 50-50 split of all-purpose flour and a higher gluten flour, such as a bread flour, but you're looking for something with a protein content level of 14%. Huh? 14%er. Actually, it was a 13.9, but who's counting? Let's get everyone up on their feet for the Silver Fox. Silver Fox. Been told to tell you that the Silver Fox has a new appendage. It is a spiral dough hook attachment. Look at that beaut. In chrome too. But over here we've been recommended by many of you to switch to a spiral dough hook for pizza doughs specifically. So I'm gonna give it a try. Let's let the games begin here. 2 tablespoons of sugar. You could go with the dry yeast as we usually do over here. However, his first option is fresh yeast, aka cake yeast, which stays active for longer, so it's helping with the longer fermentation, which is what we're doing with the 48 hours. 2.5 teaspoons or 8 grams worth of this, and I believe you just crumble it up. When looking at a recipe like this, there's one term that always kind of, hydration level. Anytime I look at a pizza dough recipe, it's always like, what's the hydration level? Well, I guess that's just baker speak for how much water is gonna end up in the dough. This one is 50% hydration level, which is like 50% water. So I guess the more water that you add into this, the softer, the airier it's gonna be, but also obviously it's gonna be stickier and harder to work with, whereas less water, it's gonna be a firmer dough, but easier to work with. 500 grams worth of very cold, used to be ice water, but it's just now cold. Half of it now, whisking until everything dissolves. 900 grams worth of that flour combo. Lowest setting for 5 minutes. 3 tablespoons of salt. And then after another 3 minutes, I'm gonna add in the remaining water. Keep it on a low speed. Stream in olive oil, 36 grams worth. 5 to 7 minutes mixing until it starts forming a ball shape and flour starts clearing the sides of the bowl. I mean, that checks out to me. Before we move forward, you just leave it here, covered loosely with plastic wrap for 20 to 30 minutes. After it's rested, give it a quick spin, some olive oil. Time to get the hands dirty. Separate the dough into 4 equal portions. Got myself a little bit of a cut on one finger here, so let me use this glove. Taking the ball dough, folding the edges into the center. Do this 3 times. Now look how smooth that is after 3 times. With the center facing up, turn the ball in your hands a few times. Just like I've seen this done before. Crimp and pinch the center of the dough ball closed. Create a surface tension on the outside. Oh, I see. So you're using one hand to turn and the other hand to cup the dough. So Gosney sent me over the dough riser, and I'm gonna try that as the container today. Just gotta lightly grease up the dough. Airtight seal. Dough now needs to rest for 48 hours in the refrigerator. Refrigerator, you don't really say that anymore. And they're gonna double in size. Bye-bye. Ferment. Turn this on, whatever this is. What is it? This is the Gosney Dome XL 2.0. And the folks over at Gosney sent me over this beast so I could have some fun. See, for years, I was living in apartments, so an outdoor oven like this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's also about the size of my old apartment. And an oven like this indoors, that's a no-no. It needs to be outside in the wild. Definitely the biggest draw for me is the choice between wood fire or propane. It's nice to have both options. Of course, I'm gonna fire it up with the wood for a pizza because something quite satisfying cooking food over a live flame. Gonna also need that steady, predictable, consistent heat for some of the pizzas, so I'll opt for the propane. Especially with the multitasking with the video making and all that. Going gas for the New York pizza, heat it up. That is the story about my new oven, the Gosney Dome XL2. It's now heating up. I'm gonna go back to the kitchen. Pizzas to make. We're gonna move on to the pizza sauce, and to maintain the freshness and the brightness of flavors, we gotta make this just before we make our pizzas. Or how about, since I'm doing everything by myself, it's just gonna be just before. Can of whole tomatoes, peas, peeled plum, 3/4 tablespoon of salt, 2.5 tablespoons olive oil, and on a medium heat, a generous 2 teaspoons of chopped sweet onion. Oh, that smells good. Around a minute until translucent. 3 cloves of minced garlic, 2.5 tablespoons of chopped fresh oregano, basil from the garden. I need around 6 or 7 leaves, making sure to tear some of them up. Saute for 2.5 minutes directly into the tomatoes. 2¼ teaspoon of black pepper. Spot on. Okay. So here's my cheese blend, 70% whole milk mozzarella mixed with 30% part skim mozzarella. I just combine it and that's what we need. Because this blend melts well, has a great stretch and flavor. This needs to be 750 or higher. Turn it down a little bit, it's a little high. So I removed this from the fridge around 4 or 5 hours ago, and then halfway through that, I lightly pressed down on each one of these doughs just to compress them a little bit. They had the opportunity to rise back up. Bowl, thank you so much. Take some flour and turn the dough ball into the flour. It's gonna make it easier to work with. Firmly but gently push down with your fingertips repeatedly all over the surface to force out the air bubbles. One hand, palm down, press down in the center and rotate the dough 90 degrees, ensuring that there is like a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch rim for the crust. 6 to 8 inches in diameter, exactly. Let gravity do its thing here. Stretch the dough out with your hand. If you got says if you get a hole, you just pinch the dough together. Rotate the dough using one hand to feed into the other. Oh, the classic pizza dough rotation right now. Got it. Do that a few times to stretch this out into 10 inches. Circular motion, center outward. Oh, I see, just like. And then once it becomes too thin in the center to work with, now I can press with my palm at the outside to open it up even more so. 12 inches onto the pizza peel, then you gotta reshape it. Make sure there's still flour underneath this sucker. Pads of my finger, stretch and lift anything that needs to be stretched. Ladle on 1 spoonful at a time. Take the back of the ladle to spread it out in an outward motion. Sprinkle with some dried oregano. Teaspoon or 2 of parm. Top evenly with the grated mozz, around a cup worth. In it goes. Redoing semolina flour and flour on a wood peel. Let's do this. Keep it rotating. I claim that as a victory. Drizzle, if you wish, with some olive oil and order up. Nice floppage. That's important with a New York slice. Now to fold it. Damn good pizza, by the way. It is delicious. I'm just polishing it off here, but not necessarily a New York slice. Obviously, it was just very small. Well, why didn't you go out and make it again? Well, because that was my 3rd attempt. That's attempt number 2, and 1 is just in pieces everywhere. Everything that went wrong was between here and the oven. I just wasn't quick enough and I was unable to launch the pizzas. You want to use enough flour or semolina flour or cornmeal on your peels that you can launch it easily. And I don't know if it's a faux pas to add too much of it, but in your house, who cares? Because the alternative sucks. That's what I'm discovering. I mean, the pizza sauce is sensational. One of the betters I've ever had. A lot of flavor, just bright and fresh. And then there was pepper in it, 2.5 teaspoons that really made it like spicy. The right type of cheese blend and all that, that was all perfect. And I mean, that dough tastes great and it has a great flavor to it. The right fermentation, probably. All the components you need to make an excellent New York slice are here. It's just the execution. For the Neapolitan pizza, I'm going with a margherita, a timeless classic. It's one of my favorites. I am a simple man, but this simplicity, again, it's all about the ingredients that we are using. Traditionally, this pizza is made in a wood fire oven on a high heat, so that's what I'm going to emulate, the wood fire. And before I do, we got to go back in time, 24 hours. Sorry about this. It's Doughboy again. Jerk. I swear I only hear from this guy when he needs something. This is a basic Neapolitan pizza dough, so we only have a few ingredients, 4 to be precise. Flour, yeast, salt, water. What's gonna hopefully be a soft, airy crust. Tender. And if we can get those leopard spots all over that finished pie in the end, wouldn't that be something? Please make way for apron stuck. The silver fox. Silver fox. So you're gonna need 1 kilogram, or for my American pals, 7.5 cups worth of a medium strength flour, 00 flour, which is very easy to find. Just this whole bag worth. 550 grams of water. He doesn't specify temperature. This is it's from the tap, but it's fairly cold. We'll see how that goes. 3 to 4 minutes until the mixture is compact. I was using the whisk attachment because that's what he said to do, but I'm putting a pause on that because in the cookbook photos of him adding all the ingredients to his stand mixer, or what he may call Black Beauty over there, he's using the paddle, not the whisk. So maybe this is just kind of a language thing. And just switch it. It's not really that big of a deal. And let's continue. Bowl me. Thank you. Move that to another bowl. Cover it up. That's a perfect fit. And I just need this to rest 2 hours, room temperature. After 2 hours, this dough is very well rested. It was a long wait, but I was keeping busy. Don't worry about me. Back in you go, slow moving. Here's 50 grams of water. Scant 2 grams worth of that fresh yeast. That's gonna dissolve. I'd appreciate a proof of life. Bring my baby back. Sticking to the paddle attachment for now. I'm gonna add the water with the yeast. Start mixing on low speed. Cool your jets. It's mixing together. It just seems a bit loose and sloshing around, but it's working. 100 grams of water here. I'm gonna gradually add this in. Jeez! This is weird. Very bizarre, isn't it? Gradually adding in the water, and about halfway through that, you're supposed to switch to the dough hook. 5 teaspoons fine sea salt. Coming together. That is looking smooth and homogeneous. I'm gonna use this towel here to cover it loosely. 20 minutes later, and that dough is looking, it's good. It looks like it's expanded quite a bit. He wants me to perform some folding techniques, but there's no directions on how to do so, just a few images. So let me try to interpret. I'm gonna flour out my work surface. He doesn't mention that with his words, but if you look at the images, he's done it. Picks the dough up, and then I guess I don't really know what he's doing in that second image. I guess at the end of the day, all he's trying to do here is form it into a ball. Lift it up and fold it in on itself. How about that? And then I just started rotating it and instantly into the smoothest dough ball that I've ever made. Grease up the bowl. If that's wrong, I apologize. Carefully place. Cover that up tightly with plastic wrap. I need this to rise. It's gonna take 3 to 4 hours at like a comfortable room temperature, which it most certainly is. 3.5 hours later, this dough has most definitely doubled in size. I need 6 equal dough pieces. I mean, it's a nice looking dough, but it's sticky. We're just doing the same technique we did with that big ass ball with these little ones, providing I've just got my hands a little slicked up with olive oil, just like that's the ticket. All right, so that's gonna put a stamp on that dough. Airtight container, room temperature for an hour, hour and a half to rest. Then into the fridge to ferment, 12 to 14 hours. I'm gonna do it overnight. Hallelujah, good night, it's been great. Never mind, I still have one more pizza dough I gotta make when the time comes. I'll just be here. I'm gonna go for the wood fire with the Neapolitan style. Now, I started the fire in the center. Once it was like established, moved it over to the right side of the oven. Now the flame is gonna roll over the ceiling of it. Keep that going for 30, 40 minutes. Temperature of 750°F or hotter. Because of the nature of how I'm filming these videos with the cameras, with the wood fire, with the running around, and how quick you have to act once you've like rolled out your pizza dough, I gotta say that I've been crashing and burning behind the scenes. This is a tricky pizza to make. It's gonna take a little practice because we got a Goldilocks situation. One's too big, one's too small. It's a tricky son of a bitch. There have been some failures here today, and I needed to reset, get organized, come up with a game plan on how I'm gonna do all this. So let me talk about what's going on the pizza first, and then we'll proceed with everything else. So the sauce is just basically pasatta. That's it, that's all. Strained tomato sauce, I guess. It's already done for you. Perfect. Next up is fior di latte, which is a soft mozzarella, not as firm as what I was working with the New York one. You can see I only have that much remaining because of the incidence. You can't just grate this cheese. You gotta drain it and then you tear it. Grated Parmesan cheese, and then some fresh basil from the garden. So that's what's going on in my margarita. And let's bring the dough over here. I have 2 of these left. I drape it over my knuckle and pull. The dough can really stretch itself out to the point that it starts tearing in the center, so I gotta be really careful here. Now he wants me to do it all by hand. He doesn't want me to, but he says you could also use a rolling pin. For me, it's just so much easier just to roll it than try to be a hero with the whole... Because I've already done this a few times now, I know that if I add some semolina flour onto the peel, not a lot, or it's gonna get into the dough, but enough to keep things moving along on there so it doesn't stick. The edge crust really just goes haywire in the oven, so you wanna make sure that you're not just like leaving too much room for that to happen. Just make sure that a lot of it's very flat, and then around the edge, just, yeah. No time to talk. Every 15 seconds or so, just keep it rotating. Since I forgot to add a little Parmesan on top, and seeing as though the dough is cooked to my liking, I'm only gonna just raise the roof. Raise it to the roof, just to melt that cheese. It's not gonna take long. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, I'm done. That is a tough pizza to make under these current circumstances. But if it was easy, it probably wouldn't taste as good. I didn't learn all of my lessons because the crust did rise significantly, more so than I wanted. It's funny because on one of my first failed attempts, I was able to get the leopard patches around the crust, and I wasn't able to do so here. And in fact, I'm able to just, yeah, that works great. Some of my nicest looking basil leaves, those can go on top. Olive oil, order up. Okay, so that could be worse. It could be better. Looks like some air got into the crust there. Stop being so negative. You know, there's things that you like and things that may be a bit too much, like the crust is obviously way too much. I'm not going for the world's best pizza maker of the year award for this year. So we can table that because I don't think I'm there yet. There's a lot of this pizza that I liked. All the flavors are there. Like, it tastes like a margarita Neapolitan style pizza. What I love about this type of pizza is the simplicity. Obviously the sauce with the cheese and the basil. I could have been better in some areas here. I mean, especially with the dough. And it all comes down to that rush to the finish line to get it into the oven, and a little more care, I think, in making sure that it was rolled out thinner. I didn't get that round circular shape to the pizza. Always working on that. But if I took a lot of the better components of each one of my failures in this video, I think I would have been even closer.
I'm just gonna keep practicing. Keep at it. Be better.
So for our Detroit pizza, I'm gonna go with the best-selling signature pizza, the name of the restaurant, and their version of a supreme pizza. It's called the Loui Loui. Lots of meat, lots of vegetables, and a good time. Fortunately for the pizza, but unfortunately for you, we have to go back in time to Doughboy again. I'm sorry.
Jerk.
I've been waiting, Tinkerbell. What's that jagoff up to now? He wants the Detroit style. That's what I'm guessing, right? Well, that's what I've been prepping, so. All right, let's see to it. Much different dough than something like the New York, where the flour combination this time around is gonna be all-purpose flour, and then the semolina flour. This creates a nice texture to the crust, giving it like its signature style. All right, it's gonna be a wetter dough than the New York style, right? Whereas we've been doing our homework here. New York was 50% hydration level, whereas this one's a 75%er. Whopping, I know. And instead of like shaping the pie by hand as we have been doing, I got this Detroit style pizza pan, 8x10. This is where after you've greased it all up, you proof the dough in there. And obviously it's gonna be a thicker dough, hopefully like an airy interior to it. And then it's gonna be nice and caramelized around the edges, right? Stay positive. You know who. It's the Silver Fox. Silver Fox. So there's this table in this book and everything is so precise on how to make this recipe. 359.28 grams worth of all-purpose flour, 154 grams of semolina. I am just gonna stir that together first. Incredibly specific with every ingredient except for this part here. He just says a little bit of water. I have all this fresh yeast on hand. That's what I'm gonna use. So I just looked up online, like, what's the conversion here when he's asking for 3.85 grams of active dry yeast. That should be 11.5 grams of fresh yeast. So rock and roll. In with the yeast here is a thing called diastatic milk powder. So I bought this whole bag here because I just wanted this to sit in the pantry for the rest of my life while I use around 2 grams worth of it. This is gonna encourage better browning because it's gonna feed the yeast. You could just use sugar or honey, but because I am who I am, 5-10 minutes, just let it do its thing. 3.21 grams of salt. With the other dough recipes, we were holding off on adding in the salt at the beginning because apparently there's a myth out there that it kills yeast. Now, I can't confirm nor deny that, but Detroit style pizza is nothing about this myth, so I'm gonna proceed with caution, of course. Add the yeast mixture, as well as 385 grams of flat water. Water, of course, hydration level 75% or... Whoa! And with your oiled hands, you should be able to get a hold of it into a Ziploc bag. My interpretation of scraping this into a Ziploc bag would mean that it is supposed to look like this because that was scraped in there, right? Mark it with a date and time if you want. I'm just gonna leave a message for the guy tomorrow. It's not my problem anymore. So I'm just gonna leave it in the fridge overnight to ferment. All right, the last dough of the day. Sorry if this is wrong, go f yourself. That's nice. That's real nice. A piece of work. I mean, this is a really like wet and sticky dough. It almost feels like a sourdough starter. So if this is right, then consider me Miles Davis. The dough has just been hanging out for the last hour or so to reach room temperature. It is still sticky. All I need for today is half. Just gonna flour up the surface. Flour up my hands and just kind of smooth this out into a dough ball. Oh, it works fine. Okay, I just smooth that out into a dough ball and all of a sudden that's exactly what I'm after. All my life I thought Detroit style pizza was just soaking the pan, covering it head to toe in oil. Turns out it's just lightly greased. Dough ball goes into the pan, flattening it and hand stretching it with your hands. Do this around 5 or 6 times. Cover it up with plastic wrap. I'm gonna not touch it until it's showtime. So that's gonna take a couple more hours. The longer the proofing and fermentation, the better the dough will rise, adding air to the crust. 2.5 hours later. And the dough has risen and expanded to all corners of the pan. We even got a couple gas bubbles in there. That's nice to see. Now here's our blank canvas. We're gonna start off with some flat meats here. We got sandwich pepperonis. And then we have Canadian back bacon, shout out. For any of the meats that were uncooked, I went ahead and cooked them. Taking care not to expel any of the air from the dough. Is it air or is it gas? I said gas, now I'm thinking air. I don't know, you'll tell me. The other pizzas were not so meaty, this one is. So what type of cheese is on your DSP? Mine's gonna have Wisconsin brick cheese. If you can't find the brick cheese, you can find substitutes. He says Munster, white cheddar, other higher fat content cheeses, all cool. So I'm not really sure how much I should add here. I'm assuming quite a bit, but making sure to add plenty of cheese around the edges of the pan for that caramelization. The veggies, sliced white onion, some chopped green peppers, sliced mushrooms. I fried up some Italian sausage that I removed from the casing, and black olives. So lastly, you need a marinara sauce. Right, marinara sauce that you're supposed to make 2 hours in advance. Don't worry about it. I know a guy. Hey there.
Hey.
What's happening?
What's up?
So I'm gonna need a marinara sauce for this DSP. I didn't make one myself, so I'm gonna need you to do it because it requires a little time. You're kidding. Yeah, if you could make that, it's gonna take 2 hours. So if you could make that, chop, that would be great.
That's unbelievable.
That's alrighty. Thanks a bunch.
Respect.
Prick. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. How do you watch that guy every week? 28-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes, half a tablespoon of each dried basil and oregano, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt. Just gotta concentrate the flavors and cook some of the water out of this. 2 hours later, you wanted a pizza sauce? Here's your pizza sauce. That's it for me. I'm out of here. You guys have been great. The other guy,
Jerk.
right on schedule. Good job, doughboy. 4 slices, right? Okay, 1 hearty dollop per slice. I'm gonna go with propane this time around instead of wood because I think a nice even bake with this pie is the way to go. So I had the oven heated up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, and then once it hit that mark, I turned it down to lower. Want the pizza stone to be around 600, 650 F. Good luck. I'm thinking around 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'll rotate it another 5 to 6 minutes. That's just a guess though. I want the heat to not be scorching hot on the top so that the cheese doesn't burn, but I want the pizza stone to be hot enough that it's cooking away on the crust. I don't know, I've never done this before. That looks done to me. How's the crust look? That crust looks nice. That's a beautiful looking pie. Order up! That's a beautiful thing. Magical. Combination of toppings with how caramelized it is around the edges and just the dough itself. Holy crap. I can't believe how good that is. It's crunchy on the outside, beautiful. And then on the inside, it's just so airy, but it's got this flavor to it that really just steals the show. It's a thick pizza, it is sturdy, it keeps its shape, and it's not greasy. This thing is a beautiful walk-off.